If you want to know why most people never reach their full potential, it isn't because they lack talent, resources, or even opportunity. It's because they are walking through life with a mind weighed down by clutter, mental trash they've never bothered to throw away. They carry it like old furniture in a house they refuse to clean. They dust it, they decorate it, they even defend it, but they never ask why it's still there. These are the grudges, the fears, the outdated beliefs, the self-doubts, and the invisible assumptions that have been sitting in the attic of their mind for years, maybe decades. And the tragedy is, most will never realize that this mental junk takes up the very space they need for growth. They keep trying to build a future on a foundation that is already crowded with the debris of the past, and then they wonder why nothing seems to change. One of the first pieces of mental trash you have to recognize is the belief that your past defines you. This belief is poison dressed as wisdom. People think they're being realistic when they say, "That's just the way I am," or "This is who I've always been." What they don't see is that they are locking themselves into a life sentence they've written for themselves. Your past does not determine your future any more than the weather yesterday determines the weather tomorrow. Yet countless men and women keep dragging their old failures, their old mistakes, and their old self-image into every new opportunity, as if the future needs their permission to be different. The individual who is serious about success must strip away this weight and refuse to let history dictate destiny. The past is a lesson, not a verdict. Learn from it, then burn it, and make room for the new. Another common form of mental trash is the endless rehearsal of imagined criticism. People go to bed and wake up thinking about what others might say, what they might think, how they might judge. They live in a mental courtroom where they are always on trial, always defending themselves against accusations that haven't even been spoken. This is a form of self-imprisonment, and it robs you of the energy you need to build the life you want. The truth is, most people aren't thinking about you at all. They are too busy thinking about themselves. And the ones who are criticizing, they're often doing less than you, achieving less than you, risking less than you. The mind meant for success throws this trash out without hesitation. It focuses on building, not defending, on action, not approval. Because you cannot serve two masters. You cannot be committed to your vision and enslaved to the opinions of others at the same time. We must also talk about the trash of limitation disguised as logic. This is the voice in your head that insists you must wait for the perfect time, the perfect knowledge, the perfect conditions before you act. It sounds reasonable. It even uses words like caution and prudence to justify itself. But its real purpose is to keep you safe from the discomfort of growth. The person meant to rise understands that perfect conditions are an illusion. They start where they are with what they have, and they make adjustments along the way. They know that progress is a sculptor's process, beginning with a rough block and shaping it over time. If you're still waiting for the right moment, you are waiting for a train that doesn't run. Throw that thinking out. Replace it with action. Action clarifies, action teaches, action transforms, but only if you begin. Then there's the trash of resentment. Resentment is a corrosive acid that eats away at the container that holds it. You think you're punishing someone else by holding onto it, but you're only poisoning your own system. Resentment keeps you anchored to a moment in the past, replaying it over and over, and in doing so it robs you of the present. You cannot drive toward your future while staring in the rearview mirror. The one meant for success forgives, not always because the other person deserves it, but because they themselves deserve peace. Forgiveness is not the same as trust. It does not mean forgetting, it means releasing your own mind from the endless loop of bitterness. It means setting down the weight so you can run faster. You will be amazed at the speed and clarity you gain when you finally let it go. Another dangerous pile of mental garbage is the habit of comparison. Comparison is a thief that dresses like a teacher. It makes you think you're learning from others, but more often, it makes you feel behind, inadequate, or envious. The truth is, you have no idea what someone else's path has cost them, or what challenges they face behind the scenes. Their journey is not yours to live, and your journey is not theirs to judge. The individual destined for real achievement uses others for inspiration, not for measurement. They understand that their race is against themselves, against who they were yesterday, not against the curated highlight reels of strangers. The only fair comparison is between your current self and your potential self. And every ounce of energy spent measuring yourself against others is energy stolen from building your own. Now, perhaps the most overlooked mental clutter of all is the comfort of low standards. People don't like to admit when they've lowered their standards, but the evidence is in how they spend their time, in the quality of their work, in the company they keep. The successful person is ruthless about raising standards, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for their own potential. They refuse to normalize mediocrity in their habits, their health, their relationships, or their thinking. They understand that you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. And so they guard those standards like a fortress. They know that life will try to pull them down, to normalize what is common, to tempt them into lowering the bar. And they resist. Because the moment you lower your standards, you lower the ceiling on your own life. The last kind of trash I want to address in this moment is the belief that time is abundant. People act as if they have all the time in the world, as if opportunities will wait, as if life will pause while they decide whether they're ready to live it. This is perhaps the most dangerous illusion of all. Time is the one resource you cannot replenish. Every day you spend trapped in indecision, in fear, in the habits and patterns that do not serve you, is a day you never get back. The wise treat time as the most valuable currency they will ever own. They spend it with precision. They invest it in building something that will outlast them, and they guard it against theft, whether that theft comes in the form of pointless distractions, meaningless arguments, or their own procrastination. If you have recognized yourself in any of these examples, understand this. Awareness is the first step, but it is useless without action. You cannot simply nod in agreement and expect change. You must get up and clean house, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Take out the trash. Make the decision here and now to remove what no longer serves you. Because the truth is, the space in your mind is sacred. It is the workshop of your life. And what you allow to live there will determine what you are able to build. If you fill it with fear, resentment, comparison, and excuses, you will build a life that reflects those things. But if you clear it out and fill it with clarity, discipline, gratitude, and vision, you will build something far greater than you've ever imagined. Once you begin clearing the mental trash, something remarkable happens. You start to hear your own mind again. Not the static of past mistakes, not the echo of other people's opinions, not the noise of endless distraction, but your own clear voice. For many, it has been so long since they've heard it that it feels unfamiliar. This voice is calm, deliberate, and honest. It doesn't flatter you, but it doesn't condemn you either. It simply tells you the truth, the kind of truth you can build upon. And this is when a new danger appears, the temptation to invite the trash back in, because trash is familiar. Old habits are comfortable, even when they harm you. They feel like home because they've been with you so long, and so you must be vigilant. Clearing the mental clutter is not a one-time act, it's a daily discipline. The same way a house will collect dust again if you don't clean it, your mind will collect junk if you don't guard it. The first guard you must install is control over your inputs. If you do not choose what you consume, the world will choose for you, and it will choose poorly. Every news headline, every idle conversation, every careless word you allow into your mind is a seed, and seeds grow. If you allow a steady diet of fear, outrage, gossip, and triviality, you will grow a mind that reflects those things. But if you choose your inputs with the same care a gardener chooses which plants to put in his soil, you will cultivate a mind that is rich, stable, and fruitful. This means being ruthless with what you watch, read, and listen to. It means curating your environment to match your goals. It means turning off the noise even when everyone else is tuned in. And it means being willing to be misunderstood by those who mistake your discipline for arrogance. After you've controlled your inputs, the next step is to control your language. Words are not harmless, they are the building blocks of thought. What you say shapes what you believe, and what you believe shapes what you do. Many carry mental trash in the form of phrases they repeat without even thinking. I can't, I'm not good at that, I've always been this way, it's just my luck. Every time you say these things, you're hammering them into the structure of your mind. The successful replace these phrases with language that empowers and directs. They speak in terms of possibility, responsibility, and action. They catch themselves when old, limiting language slips out and they correct it immediately, because they know their mind is listening, and over time, their mind will believe whatever they keep saying. The third layer of defense is to master your focus. Mental trash thrives in scattered attention. When your mind is darting from one thought to another, from one distraction to the next, it becomes a dumping ground for every passing worry and meaningless piece of information. Focus, on the other hand, acts like a filter. It keeps out what doesn't matter because your mind is too busy working on what does. This is why the truly successful seem calm even in chaos. They are not ignoring reality. They are choosing which parts of it to engage with. They understand that attention is a currency, and wherever they spend it grows. If you spend your attention on fear, fear grows. If you spend it on growth, growth comes. Focus is the weapon that keeps the weeds from creeping back into your garden. Once you've built these guards, you must go further. You must replace the old trash with something better. It is not enough to remove fear, you must install courage. It is not enough to stop comparing yourself to others, you must start competing with your potential. Nature abhors a vacuum, and if you do not fill the empty space in your mind with powerful, productive, uplifting thoughts, the old ones will return. The individual meant for success fills their mind with vision, with discipline, with gratitude, with strategy. They rehearse their goals daily. They speak to themselves as if they are already the person they are becoming. They keep reminders of their mission in sight, notes, images, quotes, checklists, anything that keeps their mind anchored to where they are going. This is not fantasy. This is mental architecture. One of the most stubborn forms of mental trash is self-pity. It hides well, it disguises itself as reflection, as honesty, even as humility. But self-pity is just a refusal to take the next step. It keeps you stuck in a loop where you rehearse what happened instead of creating what's next. The person who wants to rise cannot afford to indulge it. They may acknowledge hardship, but they refuse to camp there. They redirect their energy toward action, because they know that the longer you entertain self-pity, the more it will take from you, your time, your drive, your confidence. Self-pity is a thief, and it will rob you blind if you let it. Throw it out and replace it with self-respect, which says, yes, it was hard and I still get up. Yes, I've been hurt and I still move forward. Yes, I failed and I will try again. Let's also be clear, throwing out mental trash is not about becoming cold or detached from the world. It's about becoming intentional. It's about protecting your mind the way you would protect your most valuable asset, because that's exactly what it is. Your mind is the control center of your life, and everything else you want, success, relationships, health, peace, flows from its condition. If you allow it to be polluted, every area of your life will suffer. But if you keep it clean, clear, and strong, everything you build will stand taller and last longer. You will make better decisions. You will see opportunities others miss. You will attract people who operate at the same high standard. And all of that begins with the discipline of refusing to let the trash back in once it's gone. Finally, understand this. The process never ends. You will always find new pieces of mental clutter hiding in the corners of your mind. Old beliefs you forgot you were carrying, doubts that sneak in through the cracks, assumptions you absorbed from someone else. The work is to notice them, remove them, and replace them again and again. And over time, your mental environment will become a place of strength, clarity, and purpose. A place where ideas can grow without being choked by weeds. A place where your vision can expand without hitting the ceiling of your own limitations. That's the reward for doing this work. Not just the absence of trash, but the presence of something infinitely more valuable. A mind that serves you instead of sabotaging you. There comes a moment in the process of clearing mental trash when you realize that much of what you've carried wasn't even yours to begin with. It was handed to you by family, by teachers, by friends, by culture. Ideas about what's possible, about what's respectable, about what's realistic. Warnings disguised as wisdom. Caution dressed up as love. And without questioning, you accepted them, stored them, and carried them like they belonged to you. This is one of the heaviest burdens you can bear because it shapes the way you see yourself before you've had a chance to see yourself clearly. If you're serious about success, you must conduct an audit, not just of your possessions, not just of your habits, but of your beliefs. Ask yourself, where did I get this idea? Is it helping me grow, or is it keeping me small? Anything that keeps you small must go, no matter how familiar it feels. One of the most common hand-me-down pieces of mental junk is the belief that playing it safe is the smartest way to live. It sounds harmless, even sensible, but it is a slow poison. Safety is an illusion because life itself is uncertain. You can avoid risks and still be blindsided by change. You can hide from challenges and still find yourself face to face with them. The difference is those who have practiced courage are ready when life demands it. Those who have built their lives around comfort are not. That is why the person meant for success throws out the myth of safety and replaces it with the discipline of preparation. They know that opportunity favors the ready, and readiness is built through challenge, not avoidance. They are willing to take calculated risks because they understand that the only true danger is standing still while the world moves on. Another piece of inherited mental clutter is the idea that someone else knows better than you how you should live your life. This is one of the most dangerous forms of trash because it often comes from people you love. They may mean well, but they speak from their own fears, their own failures, their own limited view of the world. And if you're not careful, you'll build a life to satisfy their expectations instead of your own convictions. The man or woman meant to succeed must learn to distinguish between advice that builds and advice that binds. They listen to guidance with discernment, but they reserve the final decision for themselves. They understand that no one else can live with the consequences of their choices, and so they take ownership of those choices, even when it means standing alone. You must also be willing to discard the trash of unexamined traditions. Traditions can be beautiful, but they can also be cages. If you do something only because that's the way it's always been done, you may be carrying dead weight. Innovation, growth, and personal evolution often require breaking patterns that have been passed down unquestioned. The successful are not reckless. They don't reject tradition for the sake of rebellion, but they are willing to ask, does this still serve me? Does this align with the life I'm building? If the answer is no, they have the courage to let it go. This is not disrespect, it is responsibility. The responsibility to choose what stays in the mind and what is removed. Then there's the trash of borrowed limitations. This happens when you hear someone else's story of failure and decide it applies to you. Maybe they tried and didn't succeed, so you assume you won't either. Maybe they tell you, people like us don't get ahead, and you believe them. These are not your limitations, but if you accept them, they become yours. The individual meant for success rejects borrowed limits. They study the failures of others for lessons, not predictions. They understand that every life is different, every opportunity unique, and that someone else's impossible might be their inevitable. They refuse to let another person's ceiling become their own. Another form of mental garbage that clings stubbornly is the identity you created to survive a past season of your life. Maybe you had to be the quiet one, the agreeable one, the invisible one. Maybe you had to be the fighter, the overachiever, the one who carried more than their share. Those roles may have been necessary once, but they are not always meant to be permanent. If you've outgrown a role but still wear it, it becomes a chain. The person meant to rise must recognize when the survival strategy of yesterday has become the limitation of today. They must be willing to shed it, even if it feels like losing a part of themselves, because they understand that their true identity is not a fixed point, it's a moving horizon. One more thing, when you throw out mental trash, you will face resistance from others who are still holding on to theirs. They may feel threatened by your clarity, by your refusal to play the same games, by your decision to step out of the patterns you once shared. They may accuse you of changing, and they will be right. You are changing, and that change will unsettle those who are committed to staying the same. You cannot let their discomfort become your prison. You cannot let their need for familiarity dictate your future. You can love people and still outgrow their influence. You can honor where you've been and still walk away from what no longer serves you. Understand this, the work of removing mental trash is not just subtraction, it's liberation. You are not simply taking things out, you are making space for something better. You are clearing room for new ideas, new skills, new relationships, new opportunities. And the more space you create, the more you will realize just how much weight you've been carrying without knowing it. The lighter you become, the faster you can move, the clearer your mind, the sharper your vision. And when that happens, you stop living by default and start living by design. There is a certain type of mental trash that doesn't always look like trash at first glance. In fact, it often disguises itself as something useful, even noble. It's the clutter of unfinished decisions. These are the choices you've delayed, the commitments you've left open-ended, the forks in the road where you've been standing far too long. Each one quietly occupies space in your mind, stealing energy every time you think about it and push it aside. You tell yourself you'll get to it later, but later rarely comes, and so it lingers. The successful understand that indecision is a parasite. It feeds on mental clarity. It blurs focus. It drains momentum. That's why they train themselves to decide quickly when they can, deliberately when they must, but always with the goal of moving forward, because a life spent in hesitation is a life stuck in neutral. Another variety of mental clutter comes from overcommitment, saying yes to too many things, agreeing to obligations that have no place in your true priorities, scattering your energy across so many small fires that you never build one strong flame. This is not productivity, it's dilution. The one meant to succeed learns the art of selective focus. They understand that every yes must be guarded by 1,000 no's. They say yes only when it is in alignment with their highest goals, their deepest values, and their clearest vision. And when they say no, they say it without apology. Because every hour you spend on the unimportant is an hour stolen from the essential. If you are serious about clearing mental trash, you must cut away commitments that are nothing more than polite distractions. There is also the trash of unprocessed emotions. You may think you've moved on from certain moments in your life, but if you've never actually examined and released the feelings they created, they're still there, quietly influencing your choices, shaping your reactions, and coloring your perception of the world. Anger, fear, shame, regret, left unaddressed, these emotions become sediment in the mind. They cloud your thinking, they distort your judgment, The successful don't avoid emotion, but they don't let it stagnate either. They face it, they understand it, and they release it. Sometimes that means having the difficult conversation. Sometimes it means forgiving yourself. Sometimes it means admitting a truth you've avoided. Whatever the method, the goal is the same: to free the mind from the grip of old feelings so that it can operate in the present. Another insidious form of mental trash is the belief that you must always be busy. We live in a culture that worships activity, where constant motion is mistaken for progress. But busyness without purpose is just another kind of clutter. It fills your schedule, it fills your thoughts, but it leaves your life unchanged. The truly successful treat their time like prime real estate. They don't fill it with low-value tenants. They understand that rest, reflection, and strategic thinking are not luxuries, they are necessities. They are willing to pause, to think deeply, to plan deliberately, even if others mistake that for inactivity, because they know that clarity comes in the stillness, not in the noise. There's also the trash of mental multitasking, the constant switching from one thought, task, or distraction to another. It creates the illusion of productivity while leaving nothing completed at the highest standard. The mind was not designed to operate in a dozen directions at once. Each time you switch, you lose momentum, you lose presence, you lose depth. Those meant for success reject the myth of multitasking and embrace the discipline of single-task focus. When they work, they work. When they listen, they listen. When they rest, they rest. This singular focus not only produces better results, it produces a calmer, clearer mind, one less vulnerable to the buildup of clutter. And then there's the mental garbage of assuming you have more time. This is one of the heaviest illusions people carry. They postpone dreams, delay changes, and defer commitments because they believe there will always be more time. But the clock is always running, and each day that passes is one you will never get back. The successful live with an awareness of time scarcity, not to create panic, but to create urgency. They act today, they build today, they clear what needs clearing today, because they know tomorrow is a promise, not a guarantee. This awareness keeps their mental landscape sharp and uncluttered. There is no room for someday, there is only now. Finally, understand this: mental trash doesn't just slow you down, it changes who you are. Every piece of clutter in your mind shapes your thoughts, your choices, your identity. If you want to transform your life, you must first transform the environment in which your life is built, and that environment is your mind. You must be willing to confront what you've avoided, decide what you've delayed, release what you've carried, and refuse what doesn't belong. And once you've done that, protect the clarity you've created like your most valuable possession. Because it is. Everything you will ever build begins here in the clean, focused, disciplined mind that is ready to create without the weight of what should have been thrown away long ago. One of the most persistent forms of mental trash is the habit of carrying other people's problems as if they were your own. This does not mean refusing to help, but it does mean knowing the boundary between responsibility and over-responsibility. Many people are weighed down not by their own burdens, but by the emotional baggage of those around them. They feel obligated to solve every crisis, to mediate every conflict, to be the anchor for every storm. Over time, this drains their energy, blurs their priorities, and clouds their clarity. The one meant for success learns to offer support without surrendering their own stability. They recognize that carrying someone else's load entirely is not an act of love, it's an act of self-sabotage. True help empowers others to carry their share, and it protects the mental space you need to carry out your own mission. Another heavy form of clutter is the backlog of broken promises you've made to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and then don't, a small crack forms in the trust you have with yourself. Those cracks accumulate. They weaken the structure of your confidence. You begin to believe your own commitments are optional. This quiet erosion is one of the main reasons people stop believing in their own potential. They've trained themselves not to trust their own word. The person who is serious about mental clarity starts small, keeping promises in the simplest ways possible, and builds from there. They rebuild self-trust one decision at a time until their mind once again sees their word as law. And once that happens, the mental noise of doubt and hesitation begins to fade. We must also address the trash of constant reactivity. This is the state of living at the mercy of events, of being pulled in every direction by every message, every piece of news, every demand for your attention. A reactive mind is a cluttered mind because it spends its days responding to other people's agendas instead of executing its own. The successful remove this by creating space between stimulus and response. They don't allow their phones, their inboxes, or the opinions of others to dictate their mental state. They establish their priorities before the day begins, and they guard them. They choose when and how to engage, and they do so on their terms. This is not selfishness, it's stewardship. It's understanding that a mind constantly on alert for the next interruption will never have the quiet needed for deep thought, creativity, or strategic decision-making. Another piece of mental garbage comes from the illusion that you must have an opinion about everything. Modern life is a flood of information, and people feel pressure to weigh in on every issue, every controversy, every passing event. But most of these things have nothing to do with your goals, your mission, or your immediate circle of influence. They are distractions disguised as participation. The one meant for success understands that not every hill is worth climbing, and not every argument is worth entering. They choose where to direct their attention and commentary, knowing that each thought and each word is an investment. By refusing to clutter their mind with the noise of the irrelevant, they preserve their capacity for what truly matters. One of the most underestimated mental toxins is the obsession with relitigating past decisions. It is one thing to review and learn from the past. It is another to replay it endlessly, imagining how things might have been different. This kind of mental looping is a trap. It keeps you locked in a chapter that's already been written. You can't build the next chapter if you're still rewriting the last. The successful break this habit by shifting their energy from speculation to strategy. Instead of asking, what if I had done this differently, they ask, given where I am now, what is the best move forward? This single change in focus sweeps away an enormous amount of mental clutter because it stops feeding a loop that has no productive end. Then there's the clutter of hidden envy. Envy is rarely admitted, but it quietly corrodes the mind from within. It's the subtle dissatisfaction with your own life because of what you see in someone else's. It's a focus on what they have that you do not, rather than what you can create for yourself. Envy is mental trash because it shifts your energy away from action and toward resentment. It tricks you into thinking someone else's success diminishes your own possibilities. The individual destined to succeed flips this entirely. They turn envy into evidence. They see in others proof that something is possible, and they use it as fuel to work harder, smarter, and more creatively. In this way, what could have been a source of bitterness becomes a source of momentum. Finally, one of the most stubborn forms of mental clutter is the false belief that change must happen all at once. This perfectionist mindset keeps people stuck because the gap between where they are and where they want to be feels too large to cross. They underestimate the power of small, consistent steps, but in reality, it is those small steps taken daily, protected fiercely, that clear the path and keep it clear. The person who understands this no longer wastes time waiting for the perfect moment or the total overhaul. They start with what they can control today, they build on it tomorrow, and they protect their progress the day after that. And before long, the mental landscape they once thought impossible to change has been transformed, quietly, steadily, and permanently. There is a form of mental trash that hides in plain sight: unfinished projects. Not the ones you've consciously paused, but the half-built ideas, the half-read books, the half-started habits, the plans you once announced but never completed. Each one takes up mental real estate, quietly whispering, "You still haven't finished me." Over time, they pile up into a chorus of reminders that weaken your belief in follow-through. The mind meant for success knows that these loose ends are more than clutter, they are confidence leaks. That's why they take inventory and decide, either finish it or release it. Completion frees your focus, releasing frees your energy. But holding on to 100 half-done commitments is like trying to run with your feet tangled in rope. You're carrying resistance into every step without realizing it. Another subtle form of clutter is the endless search for more information before taking action. Information has value, but the overcollector never reaches the point of use. They keep filling their shelves, their notes, their bookmarks, with insights they never apply. This creates the illusion of progress while keeping them stuck in the same place. Knowledge that is not acted upon becomes mental debris. It weighs on you because you know it's there, unused. The disciplined mind sets a rule: learn, then do. Gather only what you need for the next step, not for every possible step you might take in the next decade. This is how you keep your mental shelves clear and your actions sharp. We must also address the clutter of what-if scenarios that never end. Planning for contingencies is wise, but obsessively playing out every possible problem is a recipe for paralysis. The brain treats imagined danger the same way it treats real danger. It triggers stress, burns energy, and narrows your vision. The one meant to succeed uses foresight as a tool, not as a cage. They identify the most likely challenges, prepare for them, and then shift their focus back to execution. They understand that no plan can predict every obstacle, and that adaptability is a far greater asset than obsessive pre-planning. This frees their mind to think in terms of possibility instead of probability. Another heavy form of mental garbage is guilt over past inaction. You think of the opportunities you didn't take, the moments you let pass, the relationships you neglected, and you replay them until they harden into self-criticism. But guilt is not growth, it is stagnation disguised as accountability. The successful turn guilt into a decision. They don't deny what happened, they use it as a turning point. They tell themselves, that was then, this is now. They make one strong move in the present to reclaim the energy they've been leaking into the past. The moment you act, you weaken guilt's grip. The longer you wait, the tighter it holds. We also need to clear the trash of competing priorities. Not everything can be your top focus at once. If you treat every project, every goal, every request as equally urgent, you scatter your best energy across too many fronts. The result is mediocrity in all of them. The disciplined mind ranks priorities and protects them. They are willing to let lesser things wait. They understand that a single completed priority is worth more than a dozen scattered efforts. This clarity not only improves results, it declutters the mental space wasted on deciding again and again where to start each day. Another quiet but dangerous form of mental clutter is the belief that productivity equals worth. Many carry this without even knowing it, measuring their value as a person by how much they get done. This leads to constant pressure, burnout, and the inability to rest without guilt. The truth is, rest is a vital part of a high-functioning mind. Without it, your clarity erodes and your creativity fades. The successful see rest as fuel, not as failure. They make space for it, they plan for it, and they refuse to let the noise of always doing drown out the deeper rhythm of thinking, reflecting, and recharging. A rested mind sees more clearly and discards clutter more quickly. Finally, there's the trash of unaligned goals, the ones you set because you thought you should, because someone else expected it, or because it looked good on paper. You may work hard on them, but they drain you instead of energizing you. These goals are dangerous because they disguise themselves as progress while quietly pulling you away from your true path. The one meant for success stops chasing what doesn't fit, even if it's impressive to others. They understand that every ounce of effort given to something unaligned is effort stolen from what matters most. And when they release those false goals, they create the space and energy to pursue the ones that actually build the life they want. One of the most deceptive forms of mental trash is the belief that you have to be ready before you begin. It sounds reasonable, even responsible, but it keeps countless people stuck at the starting line. They tell themselves they're waiting for the right moment, for more experience, for a better plan, but what they're really doing is protecting themselves from the discomfort of beginning. The truth is, readiness is not a requirement, it's a result. You become ready by starting. You become capable by acting. You gain confidence by moving forward despite uncertainty. The individual meant to succeed throws out the notion that they must feel prepared before they take the first step, and instead embraces the principle that movement creates momentum, and momentum creates mastery. They stop waiting for perfect timing and learn to create it through consistent, intentional effort. This shift removes a massive pile of mental clutter, the anxiety of someday, and replaces it with the certainty of action today. Another stubborn piece of mental clutter is the illusion that everyone else is moving faster, doing more, and achieving sooner. This belief is fueled by constant exposure to the curated highlights of other people's lives. It tricks you into thinking you're behind, that you need to catch up, that your pace is wrong, but success is not a race against strangers. It's a personal alignment between your vision and your daily action. The man or woman meant to rise understands that their path is unique, that their timing is their own, and that rushing to match someone else's pace is a shortcut to burnout. They measure progress not by comparison, but by whether today's actions are stronger, clearer, and more deliberate than yesterday's, and they know that consistency beats speed because consistency compounds, while rushing leads to collapse. There is also the mental garbage of clinging to outdated metrics of success. Perhaps once you defined achievement by a certain title, a certain income, or the approval of a certain group. Those markers might have been meaningful at one point, but if they no longer match the life you're building, they are just clutter. They consume your focus and distract you from what truly matters now. The successful periodically reevaluate what success means to them and are unafraid to redefine it. They understand that growth changes the target. They refuse to keep chasing what no longer fulfills them simply because it once did. Letting go of outdated goals is not quitting, it's upgrading. And this act of release clears a surprising amount of mental space, freeing energy for pursuits that match your present identity instead of your past one. Another form of mental trash that must be discarded is the pattern of constant self-criticism. There is a difference between holding yourself to a high standard and tearing yourself down. Continuous self-criticism corrodes confidence, distorts self-image, and turns every mistake into a verdict on your worth. The one destined for success replaces self-condemnation with self-correction. They look at mistakes as data, not definitions. They ask, what can I learn? How can I adjust? And then they move on. This habit keeps their mind clear, focused, and resilient, able to take action without the weight of constant internal judgment. They understand that a mind at war with itself cannot build a life of peace, power, or progress. Then there's the trash of over-identifying with struggle. Some people begin to see difficulty as a permanent part of who they are, even wearing it like a badge of honor. They build an identity around the battles they've fought, which can make them reluctant to let those battles end. But the truth is, you are not your hardships. You are not the storms you've weathered. They may have shaped you, but they are not your name. The person meant to succeed honors their past challenges without letting them define the entirety of their life. They keep their identity anchored in growth, in vision, in where they're going, not only in where they've been, and by doing so they remove the invisible ceiling that past struggle often creates. We must also throw out the clutter of unguarded mornings and unfocused nights. How you begin and end your day determines how much mental clutter you carry into the next. Waking up and immediately diving into noise, messages, headlines, demands primes your mind for chaos. Ending your day without closure, unfinished tasks, unresolved thoughts clutters your rest and robs you of renewal. The successful protect the bookends of their day. They start with intention, whether that's planning, reading, or focused work before the world intrudes. They end with reflection, review, and deliberate disconnection. They create rituals that tell their mind when to sharpen and when to release, keeping mental clutter from accumulating in the margins of their life. There is also the subtle trash of living without a defined mission. Without a mission, life becomes a series of disconnected tasks and scattered goals. You might work hard, but without direction, your effort lacks cohesion, and that lack of cohesion breeds confusion, doubt, and wasted potential. The one meant to succeed knows their mission in clear, simple terms, and everything they take on must either support it or be discarded. This clarity acts as a filter for opportunities, requests, and decisions, preventing mental overload and ensuring that energy is only spent on what moves the needle forward. Without this filter, your mind becomes a storage unit for other people's priorities. Finally, perhaps the heaviest trash of all is the belief that change is something that happens to you rather than something you create. This belief leaves people passive, waiting for circumstances to improve, for luck to appear, for someone to open a door. The one who is serious about their future rejects this completely. They know that no one is coming to do the work for them. They understand that every day is an opportunity to choose, to act, to build. And because they've cleared the mental clutter that once slowed them down, they move with clarity and conviction. They are no longer reactive. They are deliberate. They live as proof that a mind freed from trash becomes a mind capable of building a life without limits. And they know that the discipline of keeping that mind clean is not a chore, it is the very foundation of everything they will ever accomplish.